This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jay Cohn in for Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. New developments in this week's triple murder at a Great Falls casino.
4 people were killed, including the suspect. Now 2 more people are facing charges related to the fatal shootings.
Amanda Gilbreth, an acquaintance of the suspect, is now charged with obstructing justice. Now, at first, Gilbreth denied she saw Ricky Gardapi in the days leading up to the murders, but now she admits to police that Gardapi was at her home the day before the shooting.
Another man, Johnny Comiotis, is charged with tampering with physical evidence and resisting arrest. Police allege he was confrontational with officers when they tried to execute a search at his apartment. Officers say he pulled away and tried to use force to try to avoid being handcuffed. Tuesday's morning's triple murder occurred at the Emerald City Casino.
A 4th victim is recovering in a Great Falls hospital after he was shot point blank in the back of the head. A fundraiser post says Timothy Edwards moved just in time for the bullet to go through his face instead of his brain.
A Livingston man who led law enforcement on a chase over the Bozeman Pass and fired shots at officers sentenced this week to spend 13 years in federal prison.
37-year-old Shanzi Cole also ordered to 5 years of supervised release. Cole was charged with drug trafficking crimes, including methamphetamine.
It was back in July of 2018 that Cole sped away from a Park County Sheriff's deputy after giving the officer a false name. During the ensuing chase, Cole fired a gun from his driver's side window. He was able to elude officers overnight, but eventually was arrested the following day.
Montana's only U.S. House Representative, Republican Greg Gianforte, joined an overwhelming majority in favor of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. The newly fashioned trade agreement passed the House on a 385-41 vote and now heads to the Senate. It's a big win for President Trump, and House Democrats like the deal too, with its stricter labor and environmental enforcement mechanisms. Gianforte told MTN News that he worked to get provisions in the bill that will help Montana agriculture. For example, under current law, grain exported to Canada is designated as low-priced feed quality regardless of its value. Now, Gianforte says the deal means Montana grain sent to Canada will be graded on its actual quality.
Montana Senator Jon Tester's bill on rural broadband mapping passed the Senate today by unanimous consent. Tester telling MTN News the bill will result in more high-speed internet service for rural Montana. Now, up till now, the Federal Communications Commission has relied on data from broadband providers. Tester says, though, that often turns into be inaccurate information and actually can prevent the funding of broadband in underserved areas. Under his new bill, consumers and independent groups will provide the mapping information, which is then used to identify areas where public funds can be used to build out the broadband infrastructure. That bill, though, faces one more vote in the House before becoming law.
Well, the names of 2 DUI victims were added to Yellowstone County's Angel Tree today during a noontime ceremony at the Yellowstone County Courthouse.
The Angel Tree ceremony honors victims who've lost their lives in alcohol-related crashes in Yellowstone County. The names of Sterling Dominguez and Jeff Dykeman now grace the Angel Tree. The 20-year-old Dominguez died in May of last year when she was struck by a DUI driver as she crossed a Billings street with her boyfriend.
Dykeman, who was 52 years old, was struck and killed by an impaired driver who ignored detour signs at a construction site near South Billings Boulevard. That accident in October of 2018. Sterling and Jeff's names will also be added to the victim's plaque that's on permanent display at the courthouse. Now, 4 individuals in law enforcement and 2 community members were also honored today with awards of merit for their contributions to DUI awareness and enforcement.
Community members Casey Keith and Tracy Jordan were singled out, along with Billings police officer Cameron Farrell Fox, MSUB police officer Don Citroni, Yellowstone County Sheriff's Deputy Harrison Gillen, and Officer Chase Rasmussen with the Laurel Police Department.
Well, although many consider the holidays the most wonderful time of year, it's not for a lot of people who've lost loved ones. A local hospice group wants to help. People who are grieving need to know they are not alone. They need to give themselves permission to hurt, create boundaries, and learn how to say no to another Christmas party or invite if they don't want to attend. Now, it's truly important those grieving take care of themselves and not feel guilty for saying no.
There are an awful lot of people, I think, who kind of hide their emotions during this time of the year because it's not socially acceptable to be sad, to be down, and yet this happens for everyone, you know, and there's so much pressure to be happy, to be joyful, and to go to all the Christmas parties and everything else. And it's just, when you've lost a loved one, you can't force yourself to be in that position, or you try to force yourself, but it doesn't work.
Compasses Hospice and Palliative Care, along with Highgate Senior Living, are teaming up to help. This Saturday, which marks the longest night of the year, also marks an opportunity to take part in some helpful conversations. One at 10 in the morning, the other is at 2 in the afternoon at Highgate. It's for anyone to attend to learn more about coping with grief and loss during this sometimes difficult season.
An incredible tale of survival to tell you about tonight. A Helena woman and 2 others really lucky to be alive after getting stuck in the mountains overnight.
MTN's Jonathan Ambarian brings us that story.
Sandy Heyer says she feels lucky and grateful after she was rescued after spending more than a day out in the cold west of Helena.
Well, I already got the best Christmas present in the world.
Heyer is now recovering at St. Peter's Health. She was airlifted there Tuesday when first responders reached her. Heyer says she went for a drive outside Avon Sunday afternoon with her fiancé Eldon Hochstetler and a friend Jeff Purdy.
We decided on Sunday, it was such a beautiful day, that we were going to go for a ride and possibly get a little Christmas tree.
But in the Nevada Creek area, Heyer says their truck began to slide and eventually crashed into a tree near an embankment.
If that tree wasn't there, we probably wouldn't have been found until next spring.
They weren't able to move their vehicle. They didn't have food or water. After the battery died, they were without heat.
All 3 of us sat there and just prayed, but we got through the night okay.
On Tuesday, they decided to walk out and try to reach help. Hochstetler says he was eventually able to get cell service and call for help. Shortly after, he found a local rancher who was also able to assist. The Avon Elliston Quick Response Team, Montana Highway Patrol, Powell County Sheriff's Office, Powell County EMS, and Life Flight all responded. Leaders praised the team effort it took to get them out. Heyer says she had hypothermia, a fractured ankle, and some frostbite on her fingers. Hochstetler and Purdy say they had frostbite on their feet, but all 3 say they're improving. Heyer says they're grateful for the help they got.
Right here at Christmas time, it shows the Christmas spirit and how kind people are to get together and help 3 strangers.
In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Thanks, Jonathan. Yes, lucky to be alive, to say the least. Heyer said she's now hoping someone will help them recover their truck that's still stuck in the mountains.
Wow. Well, Santa Claus showed up to celebrate some of Montana's tiniest patients and their parents who will be spending Christmas in the hospital. Yeah,
St. Nick visited the St. Vincent Neonatal Intensive Care Unit this afternoon. The babies are building up their strength before they can head home. And today they got their first photo with Santa, who brought gifts of teddy bears.
Now, Santa, who also calls himself Kris Kringle, says he's been cheering up families at the St. Vincent NICU for more than a decade.
More news from across our state tonight. A Flathead Valley fast food restaurant is pitching in to make Christmas a little easier for 2 families dealing with tragedies this holiday season. Join us for that and more on the MTN Statewide News at 9 on the CW.
But first, on tonight's 5:30 news, these students might be hard-headed, but it's all for safety. We'll check out the OSHA lab at Montana Tech.
And later in sports, we hear from North Dakota State on how the Bison plan to stop the Cats on Saturday.
And coming up in weather, it looks like our weather is stuck on nice, but just how long will it last? We'll have the answer coming up.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.